Hi there, this is Gerald Alexa from ProSite Tutorials and welcome to another video. And in this video I'm going to explain how you can pass your Kindle book to a paperback book or to Createspace. So I'm going to explain the whole process that you need to use when it comes to this. I must mention that when it comes to passing your book to Createspace, it can get quite tricky and sometimes it can get really annoying because you are trying to pass your book to Createspace, then the sizes don't get right, you upload it to Createspace, it doesn't accept your cover, and sometimes this can be quite annoying, especially in the beginning. After a while, you'll just gain the habit, the experience of doing your Createspace covers, and it's not a huge deal, especially if you follow this video, because in this video, I'm going to explain in detail how you can do this. Of course, if you wanted, you could always go to Fiverr, probably pay like $15 for someone to do this for you. But I mean, just a little work, just with a bit of knowledge, you can easily do this in a few minutes. You have this done and you can immediately upload to Createspace and you don't need to wait for anyone to do this process for you. Okay, so this is my Kindle cover. You can see that it looks amazing. I just did this in a few minutes. It looks pretty good. And actually, if you want to learn more about how you can do a cover similar to this one, you can click on that small eye that you can see on the top of the screen so you can watch my other video where I explain how you can do a cover similar to this one. And I showed you the process of doing covers like this one. So let's talk about this. So how you can pass your book to Createspace. Okay, the first thing that you need to have is Photoshop. Okay, you need to have Photoshop. This is the software I recommend for you to use. It's not it's not a free software when it comes to image editing. It's not a free software. Anyway, you can always get a 30-day free trial by going to their website. You can use this software. Also, I recommend for you to have some experience with Photoshop. If you don't have any kind of experience with Photoshop, I recommend for you to watch some other videos where you can understand the basics of using Photoshop for this, because in this video I'm not going much in detail with all of the little tools that you can find inside of Photoshop, because that would turn the video way too lengthy. So I'm just going to show to you the process of basically passing your Kindle cover to the paperback format. So I recommend for you to have Photoshop. If you don't want to use this software because you don't want to pay for the software, you can also try out GIMP. GIMP is a free alternative. I personally don't like GIMP because I find it very clunky, and sometimes I used to use GIMP for my videos, but I found it really clunky, and after a while really pissed me off, and I just don't like that software. But if you want a free alternative, it's still a good option. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is get your template. For this, you can go to Google and you just write Createspace template generator. So just write this, and it must be this first link that you can see over here. So you just click on it, and actually it's not. It's this first one. Actually, click on the wrong one. So you go over to this page that belongs to Createspace, and what you want to do is simply create a template which will help you get the right sizings for your paperback book. Okay, so you want to choose the interior type. For me, it's always black and white, so it's not a huge deal. Trim size, I'm actually going to leave the standard sizing over here. This is the most often used size. Of course, if you have another one you want to choose from this listing, sometimes you may want to use this one. It's also a size that sometimes people use. So I'm just going to use 6x9 for this. And then you want to put over here the number of pages that you have for your book, because this will give you the template with the right sizing. So in this case, I'm going to just leave 120 pages for this cover, and I'm going to press this button that says build template, and it will build a template that I can use. And then you just need to click on this button over here, on this link, and it will download to your computer. Once you download this file to your computer, what you want to do is simply unzip this file on your computer. You will get two different files. You will get a PDF file and also a PNG file. The one that you want to use for this is the PNG file. So you go back to Photoshop, and in this case I go to File, I select Open, and I choose this PNG file, which I got with my unzip. Because you have two files, as I already explained, you can actually see over here the PDF file, which you don't want to use. So you want to use this one. Okay, so once you open up this file, this is what you will be able to see. Now, what I consider really tricky about building this cover is this sizes that you see over here is not exactly correct sizes. I mean, they are quite correct, but not that correct, because sometimes you use the exact sizings that you see over here, and what happens is once you upload this file that you create over here to Createspace, it simply doesn't accept your file because it still has a test passing the margins that they don't allow you to have test, and that happens once you pass your file to Createspace. So these sizes are a bit tricky for you to play with them, and in my experience there are a few things that you need to adjust, which I'm going to explain throughout this video. You can see in this case you can actually add a spine over here. You can actually add some text to your spine. If your file is way too small, for example you have a book with 70 pages, you don't need to have any kind of text in your spine. Actually you shouldn't have any text on your spine. So the first thing that you should do is, in this case I just selected over here the magnify glass or whatever you call this, and I want to have some guidelines. So if you don't have this ruler on the top, what you want to do is go to the view tab, and you want to select over here rulers if you don't have this option appearing. And now what you want to do is have some guidelines to help you out. So you click over here and you try to be as precise as possible, just like this. It's very important for you to be very precise when it comes to this. And then you want to click over here and also add another guideline. Now I'm going to the bottom and do exactly the same thing, just like this. I'm going to add another guideline over here. And also I'm going to do the same thing for the spine over here. Especially these ones are very important, because if you actually do a slight mistake over here, once you pass this to paperback, you probably will have the image from your cover appearing a bit on your spine. So you need to be very precise with this one. This is actually a bit annoying today with this. Not sure why it's doing this. So try to be as precise as possible. Just like this. And I just need to do another one, which is this one. Okay, so now I have the sizing. So I'm going to zoom out. For you to zoom out like I did, you just press Control and you press the minus button on your keyboard, so you can just zoom out quite easily. Now the other thing that I like to do over here is simply, you can see this is the barcode, and sometimes what happens is once you are putting whatever you want to put in the back of your paperback cover, you don't want to have any kind of text over here, because this is where the barcode will be, and what happens is you won't be able to see your text because of the barcode. So what I do is just add over here, I use this rectangle selector, I put over here a rectangle, I do a new file, and in this file I just had over here just like this, so I can know where the barcode later on will be. Now, of course, later on, once you are passing this to Createspace, you want to remove this option because you don't want that appearing on your cover. It's just to give you an idea of where the barcode will actually appear. Actually, over here, the sizing, yeah, it's right. You need to be very precise with the sizings. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to grab over here this file so I can remove from the top section, and let's just go over here to image, check the sizing. You can see this is the width. So basically what you want to do is your Kindle cover is about half of this width, because this is the full width of the cover with the back of your cover, and this is where your Kindle cover, or where you have your basically this cover will appear, is over here, and this will be about half of the sizing that you saw over here. So half of this sizing is about not certain at this point, but actually I'm going to grab over here a calculator for this. It's quite disappointing that I don't know to do this math, but let's say it's 376, and let's do half of this. So this is the sizing. Okay, we have over here the sizing. So what I'm going to do is, because this is way too big, I'm going over here to image sizing, and I'm going to reduce this to half of this sizing, and it still will be a bit bigger than I actually need. And also make sure that you keep big bicubic sharper, so you can have a better quality once you reduce this file. So you can see that now I reduce this file. What I want to do is, and make sure that you have your Kindle cover exactly with all of the layers. So if you actually flatten your image, I mean, that is quite bad, because once you try to pass to Createspace, it won't look that good. So make sure that you have all of the layers from your cover just like this. What I'm going to do is select all of these layers at once. You can do this by simply, you go to the last layer that you have over, you press on the shift button from your keyboard, and then you press over here on the top layer that you have, and you can see that it immediately selects everything. Then what you do is simply drag to the bottom where you have your Createspace cover. And you can see that now I have over here my Kindle cover appearing. And now I try to position things as best as possible. And you can see that it doesn't look that good at the moment. It needs to have some configuration over here so it will look better. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is try to position this as best as possible. So let's see over here, Italian. Actually, this seems like a good sizing when it comes to this. So what I'm going to do is select over here Italian, and also this layers, and see, yeah. And I'm actually going to position this a bit on the top over here. You can see that actually I'm going to position more on the top so it will look better. And what I'm going to do also, you can see that I have over here something awkward appearing. So I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. Actually, I think it's this one. And there you go. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see this is the subtitle. And basically what you need to do is simply adjust the sizing as best as possible. Also, you want to make sure that this is right in the middle. For you to do that, sometimes it's a bit tricky. You can go by the ruler over here and see if you can position this as best as possible. Yeah, this is the center. I think this is the center, yes. So you want to have over here a guideline so you can center everything nicely. Let's see if this is in the center. Actually, it is. see the bottom one is actually not exactly in the center. Let's reposition this just like this. Now what I'm going to do is also reposition this subtitle over here because it doesn't look good. Just like this. And that looks good. Now sometimes what happens is you have a title that is way too big and it just gets out of the borders that they actually recommend. And actually what I mean about this being a bit tricky is what you will notice once you pass this to Createspace, sometimes what happens is you can see this pink border is where you shouldn't already have your text. By this I mean that you shouldn't have something like this. For example, something like this happening. You shouldn't have any kind of text passing this margin. But sometimes what happens is you actually have like your text over here, and then once you pass to Createspace, you will see inside of their cover creator that is still passing the border. So what I recommend is for you to always position this as best as possible over here to the center so you can have a good margin over here so that doesn't happen. That is why this template is not exactly precise, and sometimes it's a huge headache, especially in the beginning when you don't actually understand those little things, and then you think everything is well where you want, and then once you pass to the Createspace cover creator, you notice that some of your text is still passing the margins, and that is what I always recommend. So just in case that you have, let's say, your title is way too big, what you can do is you can see over here I selected this layer, and then I click on Control T so I can have this little squares where it allows me to readjust the sizing of my title. And what I recommend for you to do is simply go over here and just readjust the sizing until you have something that looks good. Okay, actually I'm not going to do that over here. I'm not going to save these changes because it's already a good sizing, as you may see. Now what I'm going to do is just position this layer over here. Actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the following thing. Actually I'm going to create over here a new layer. As you may see, I'm going to grab this exact color that I have over here, and I'm going to use this as my background so I can cover all of this area with the exact same color for my cover, as you may see. And I'm going to delete this layer because I no longer need it, which was the one over there. And now I'm going to reposition this shading that I actually did over here. I'm going to reposition this a bit more on the top over here. Actually I can see well. And now I'm going to grab this image where you can see with the pizza, and I'm going to increase the sizing a bit for this. I'm going to increase the sizing, and once I'm always increasing the sizing, I'm always clicking on the shift button for my keyboard so I can have the sizing in proportion. And I try my best to have this in the center. Sometimes what happens is some of the things get a bit cut off because the sizing of my cover for Kindle was a bit too big, as you may see. It's way too big, so some of the images over here just get cut off because of that. But it still looks good. It still looks good, so it's not a huge deal. And you can see that. Actually, I'm going to see if this shading is good over here. Once again, I'm doing this all freestyle. I'm not actually editing anything from this video. So of course there are sometimes I do a few mistakes while doing this because sometimes it's a bit hard for me to explain while I'm doing things inside of Photoshop, two things at the same time. So What I'm going to do now is simply cut over here. As you can see, this is where my spine will be, and I'm just going to cut this area because you can see that at the moment I have this image passing my spine. So I'm just going to remove this section because I don't want that. So this is where my spine will be. If you want, you can always put a different color for your spine. It's really up to you for you to do that. You just create a new layer for that, and you just basically just fill this area over here using the rectangle selector option, and then you just fill in with the bucket with another color, as you can see, and basically that is how you can do that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep everything with the same color. It's just far easier when you are actually passing to Createspace to keep your cover as simple as possible. It's just far easier because initially I used to put a different color for my spine. I used to like have my image appearing a bit on the spine, and then sometimes when you pass to Createspace it doesn't look exactly as you want, and some awkward things happen. So that is what you can do over here. And as you can see, now what I'm going to do is for this back section. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for the bar over here. So I want to pass this, it's over here, this layer. So now what you want to do is simply create test over here. You want to have test over here. The other thing I actually forgot to mention over here is the author name. This is another thing that you should make sure that you have a lot of spacing below, just like this one. Actually, this is probably the right sizing for this, so you don't run into any problems once you pass this file to Createspace. As I already said before, the sizings that come with the template aren't exactly correct, because if you put your author name exactly on the margin, once you pass to Createspace, you will have issues. You will see that the test is still passing the margins inside of the cover creator inside of Createspace. So always make sure that you have a good margin over here, just like this one. Now what you want to do is you want to do the back of your cover. So you want to do this back cover, whatever you call this. For this, you can add information about your author or about yourself if you are the author of your book. You can even include a photo of yourself over here, or you can just put the description of your book on the back end of your cover. So for this, I'm just going to duplicate this this layer over here, because this is a test layer, and I want to have the exact same font on the back end of my cover, just like this. And I'm going to use this for the description of my book. So I'm going to the right sizing for this, what I found for a good sizing for this is about 15 pixels. That is about a good sizing for description over here. So what you want to do is just add, so I'm having over here a small issue. I'm just going to repeat this process again. So as I said before, what you want to do is have about 15 pixels over here is about the right sizing. It's what I recommend. And 15, and then you want to have some text over here. So that is really up to you what you want to have. Description, and you want to put over here your description, and let's just copy this over here. This is actually in italic. Let's put over here regular, and so this is where your description will be. You will have something like this. What you want to do is you want to put over here on the border, just like this. And then once you want, what you want to do is give over here a spacing. And then you want to repeat the same process again, just like this. Put over here some spacing once again, and some spacing over here. Then I normally like to center this. I like to center this, and once again I actually need to have over here something to put this more easily on the center. And actually this is not exactly the center, this is the center. You can see that it snaps, just snaps once it gets to the center. It just snaps just like this. So this is your description over here. Actually, it can probably be 16 pixels. It depends on the amount of text that you have. So this is what you want to do. And try to position this in the center. You will have over here something like that. And let's just duplicate this once again and have over here a bit more text. It's like this. And so this is your description, and you can see that since I have this small bar over here, it allows me to more easily see where I shouldn't have any kind of text. So I would position this a bit more on the top, and this would be the description of my book. Now, as I already said, always give more margin than you think you should give, so you don't run into any kind of problems once you pass this file to Createspace. And actually I'm going to see if this is in the center. It is in the center, it looks good. And basically this is what you need to do. So you have over here a Createspace cover. And let me see if there's anything missing over here. I think it's not. Or actually I'm going to add a spine over here. I'm going to show to you how you can add a spine in this case. So I'm going to once again, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over here to image. I'm going to image, and I'm going to do I'm going to rotate this clockwise. I think it's clockwise. Yes, clockwise. No, actually it's the opposite direction. So I want to rotate this counterclockwise, just like this. So I can easily add over here a spine. And let's see over here. As you can see, you don't have much text to play around with. You simply don't have much text. So what you can do is I'm going to see the font that I've used over here for this. It's actually Franklin. Let me see if I actually can duplicate this layer and just rotate it. And just rotate it so I can use it. Let's put over here Jordan Alexa. Just like this. And I'm actually going to rotate this. Just let me see if I can get this just like this. Okay. Okay, so this is how you can actually create your spine. You just go over here and you just rotate your whole file and you try to position this over here, and you can see that you can see that it allows you to align. You can see over here, once I'm actually working with this, there is a line that appears which allows me to more easily align this, but you can see that at the moment it's just way too big, so I need to decrease a bit, let's say to 12 pixels, something like that, so I don't run into any kind of problems. Actually, I'm going to decrease even more because I know that when I pass this file to Createspace, normally some awkward problems occur and you don't have what you want. So now let's call this Italian cookbook. So I just created a new layer. I just duplicated the other layer that I had over here, and I just had new text to it. So in this case, this is the title of my book, and I'm going to add to the other side of my book over here, just like this. Okay, you probably would, of course, you want to spend more time trying to adjust the sizings of everything, so you can have everything well adjusted. I'm just doing this a bit fast so you don't need to wait a long time. And you can see that now I rotate once again and I have everything repositioned exactly where I want. So now I'm just going to remove this layer so you can see my cover appearing over here. So now everything looks good. I have some text on the spine. Everything looks good. Now the thing that you want to do is simply remove this layer over here. If you want, you can just click on this button so it's not visible and it doesn't appear, or you can even just drag it to the bottom so it doesn't appear. This was just to give you an idea of where you shouldn't have any kind of text because of the code bar. And basically that is how you can pass your book to Createspace. Now what you want to do is save this file. So for you to save this file, you click on File and then you go over here, Save As, and I recommend for you to save this file as a TIFF file, exactly this one, because this adds a lot more quality to your book cover. It doesn't compress this file, anything that normally happens once you try to pass this file to JPEG. So I recommend for you to use the TIFF file for this, and then you just press save, and there you go. Just press OK, and there you go. Okay, now let's actually go over here so you can see how it looks like. So this is the file that I've actually created, and this is how my cover looks like. It looks pretty good. It's a good cover. People would certainly buy this book just based on this cover. It has a delicious pizza, and everyone likes pizza, and everyone wants to learn how to make pizza, or at least most people want to learn how to make pizza. Okay, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoy. If you are struggling to make money with Kindle publishing when it comes to nonfiction, I recommend for you to get one of the best video courses out there called Self-Publishing Revolution. This is exactly the video course that I got, where I learned most of what I know nowadays about Kindle publishing and how to make money when it comes to this business. You have a link right below in the description from this video that you can click on so you can immediately go to Self-Publishing Revolution, a landing page, find more information about this great course and get it. Okay, also if you have any question, just leave it right below in the comment section right below. I'll try to reply to you as soon as possible. Also make sure to leave a like, click on that like button, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can receive my weekly video updates where I share with you plenty of tips related to Kindle publishing, online marketing, and a lot more. Stay there, stay tuned with Pro Tutorials, and bye!